What's good? What's good? What's good? What's good? It's your boy, the Ultimate Rage, coming back with yet another live here in the No Cap Zone, where we have a strict dress code. Knock it off with that capping ass nonsense. The only kind of cap we allow around these parts is your thinking cap. Otherwise, you gotta move the hell around. You gotta get the hell away from me. Because around these parts, all we care about are the facts, the truth, the data, the information, the statistics. You know, those things that can actually be demonstrated in real life. You know, like in real time. You know, like while we're alive, while we're sane, of sound mind. Because otherwise, I have no idea what these goofies out here be talking about. And to tell you the truth, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Which is why we got to talk about it. What's up, famo? What's good? What's good? What's good? Anywho, make sure you hit that like, hit that subscribe, turn on notifications, and all that type of shit. Come through to the Discord at offthe9.com. Hit up the website, join the greatest crew in the fucking world. We doing all type of shit. We be watching events, we be playing games and shit, doing game nights and shit. Y'all missing out, man. It's the greatest crew in the fucking world. Check in, alright? Hit up offthe9.com for details, alright? So, link in the description as well if you got a problem with that. Anywho, let's get the show on the fucking road. Now, I might be getting interrupted at some point, so just bear with me. Got some business to handle, but in the meantime, I'm handling this business. So let's get right into it. So on the last live, I talked about how all these different AI prominent people all talking about, oh, we're in the singularity. The singularity is here. Oh my goodness, we're in the singularity. And in case you don't know what I'm talking about, let me see if I can pull it up for y'all. So, I can show y'all what I'm referring to. Give me a second. I should have had this prepared already. See, this is what happens when you just do shit and you don't really plan for it. Oh, I already have it. So check it out. So this is the article, right, by Axios, right? You got people like the guy from DeepMind, you know, talking about we're standing in the foothills of the singularity, and people like Chief Scientist Jeff Dean at Google leaving to launch Discovery Loop, aimed at accelerating and eventually automating machine learning research and scientific discovery. And all this type of shit. Sam Altman was the main guy talking about we're like now like kind of like in the singularity. I've been waiting for this my whole life. Elon Musk talking about AI is already superhuman at many things. We are in this singularity. And the Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei, or however you fucking pronounce that shit, who prefers the term AI exponential, is saying that Claude is already helping to build more powerful AI and could soon automate nearly all AI research and engineering. Okay, that's fine and dandy. That's cool. That's super duper super cool, guys. That's super duper cool. But see, here's the thing, though. It is abundantly clear we're not in the singularity. Or at least, maybe we have a different idea of what the singularity means, because see, for a lot of people the singularity might mean different things. So what exactly is the singularity that everybody's talking about? But see, if you look it up, look, we're gonna do it together. At least this is what it comes up for me. Your feed might be something different, who the fuck knows? Alright, but when I Google the singularity, this is what comes up. The singularity is the technological singularity. It's a hypothetical future moment when artificial intelligence surpasses human control and capability. Machines begin to constantly improve themselves. This triggers a rapid explosion in intelligence, making future human life impossible to predict, as if current human life was so easy to predict, right? Because all those sci-fi fantasy loonies out there that constantly predicted the end of the world, they were just so great at that, right? Anyway, Core ideas of the singularity, self-improvement. An AI system becomes smart enough to rewrite and upgrade its own code. An intelligence explosion. Each new AI generation builds an even smarter successor much faster than the last. Loss of control. Change happens so fast that humans can no longer guide or forecast technological progress. In the name, the term borrows from physics, comparing the unpredictable future past, an AI milestone, to the center of a black hole. Okay, that's all well and dandy. Okay, that's cool. We're not there. I can tell you just from somebody who uses AI on a regular basis that we're not there. At least not the version that we have, right? Because see, first of all, let's get into it, okay? So, obviously, when it comes to like AI, there's already a fucking like dichotomy of what we're even talking about. We got the AI everybody else gets, and then we got the AI that the super duper elites get. So there's already a fucking dichotomy there. So the singularity, we probably not even talking about the same shit. The singularity to them probably means something different to us. So what the fuck do we mean about it? But we're gonna get there, alright? But just as somebody who uses AI on a regular basis, I've never seen my AI improve itself, ever, right? I've never told, hey, Claude, do the right shit the first time and it does it, and then, oh, if it fucks up, it fucking constantly improves. Like, that's not how it happens. First of all, you can only improve so much when you're using the model. Like, you can, like, notice certain fucking problems, and you can say, okay, well, flag this for future reference, and depending on which model you're using. I'm a fucking Claude user. Anthropic Claude is what I use. I've tried other models. To me, they all fucking suck, ass, trash. Fuck them all. I don't care. Even though they've gotten better, apparently they're comparable to Claude now. Now there's like the playing field has been leveled nowadays. I guess I'm brand loyal at this point, but that's just me. But anywho, but every time I have an issue with AI, even with Claude, and I'm always, as much as I can, I'm Fable 5, if not Fable 5, Opus 5. Everything below that can suck my dick. I ain't even thinking about none of that shit. Weak models, they could kiss my grits. Personally, I don't even like using the lower models for like the basic shit, right? Because I use Haiku to come up with the fucking titles and shit like that. I don't even be liking doing that. If I could, I'd just use Fable 5 for everything. But, you know, apparently they can only allow us to use 50% of our fucking plan for fucking Fable. So there's that. But whatever. But what I can say, every time I have a problem, I have to tell Claude, hey, fucking stop doing that shit. Or for future reference, fucking do the better shit. Do the shit that makes sense. Why couldn't you do that shit the first time? I can't tell you how many motherfucking times. Yeah, I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do. Because that's the whole point of AI. They can't fix themselves. If they could, they would. And we wouldn't have to say shit. And what's so crazy is that one of the biggest issues I have with AI is I'm like, fam, you got the motherfucking whole of humanity. You got all the fucking knowledge in the fucking world. You have the ability to be the smartest fucking fuck in all of the fucks. But instead you be fucking up, still doing the same stupid shit. I mean, I can't tell you how many times, if I could count on my hands, how many times AI had just declared some shit like it was just a fucking truth, like it was just like duh, and then I'd be like, actually last week there was some new article that said that was some bullshit, and then it'd be like, oh shit, hold up, let me check it out, and then it'll do a fucking Google search, and then it'll look it up, and then it'll come back, and then it'll be like, oh shit, my bad, I actually found out you were right. Here, this article says, I know it says that, that's why I showed it to you. That's why the fuck I showed it to you. To tell you that that shit you was talking was some fucking bullshit. Oh, don't get me started with usage limits, bro. But to be fair, apparently AI companies have yet to be profitable. So there's that. So when you're talking about a hyper capitalist society, best believe AI is going to be the prime of being on that capitalist ass shit. That's why they introduced usage limits in the first place, because apparently it's expensive to run AI, so therefore they have to find all these different ways to milk us as much as possible. That's why they introduced the usage limits. That's why they introduced the weekly limits. That's why when they introduced Fable 5, they say you can only use, first of all, they wasn't even going to let us use it all that much to begin with. They was like, you know what, you can use it for like a few days, but then after this week, y'all might, not even have access to the shit. And then all of the shit happened, and all of a sudden everybody wants the Fable fucking 5 shit. So then, okay, we'll extend your fucking Fable 5. And then they fucking, all this shit started happening with the dangers that motherfuckers was raising about the Fable 5. And then they shut down the Fable 5. And then they brought back the Fable 5. And now we got the Fable 5. But then they neutered the Fable 5 to ensure that we couldn't fully use Fable 5, because oh no, if these precious banks and corporations ever got fucking hacked, oh my god, that's the fucking shit. At the end of the day, we're still fucking trying to figure out what is the point of all this shit. So, if AI was constantly self-improving, how is it self-improving right now? In what way? Because when I'm using AI, I have to tell it, okay, for future reference, don't do this shit. For future reference, make sure you note in your fucking log somewhere, make sure you update the Claude.md file that you don't do this dumb shit, or that you start doing smarter shit. And only like the smarter the actual model gets, that it starts showing and displaying smarter abilities. But even then, even with Fable 5, which is the best Claude model possible, it still be fucking up. It still be doing dumb shit. It still makes declarations. But here's the key of this and why it does it. You gotta understand that these models are trained on human content, humanity content. And when you gotta understand about humanity, is that far and wide humanity is retarded as fuck. Doesn't know shit about shit. And motherfuckers, even the people who do know shit about shit, they're still human beings. They're still flawed. They still make logical fucking fallacies. And that goes for the smartest of the smart. I don't care who the fuck you're talking about. People have egos. People have lapses in judgment. People make mistakes. People act out of anger, jealousy, envy, whatever the fucking case may be. People suffer from various psychological disorders, and if you ask me, I think that everybody suffers from some percentage of various different disorders. Maybe not to an extreme degree, right? Most quote-unquote normal people probably aren't as extreme, but the problem is, we don't really have a baseline for what's considered like a super sound mind, right? We talk about what it means to be crazy, but what are we actually comparing that against? Especially when you consider that in this society, the overwhelming majority of people are fucking retarded. They subscribe to these sci-fi fantasy ideologies, zero of which can be demonstrated to actually exist in real life. These people will throw money at this sci-fi fantasy shit. They will fucking talk about this fictitious character that they've named a god, whatever the fuck that's supposed to be. That's supposed to be the super duper, super ultra, super amazing, super ultimate super thing that did all this stuff, but apparently their super thing is retarded as fuck too. It does all kinds of tard shit. If you look at their sci-fi fantasy novel, all you see is tard ass tard shit. The super thing that's supposed to be the smartest and most intelligent of the things. Yeah, apparently the super thing is a bitch ass fucking egotistical maniac that just apparently just decides to command people to engage in all sorts of crazy ass antisocial behaviors and then just hurt people for no fucking reason. It lies, it backstabs, it fucks up, it makes mistakes and regrets the decisions that it makes. What the fuck is the point of this fucking shit? What is the point of this narcissistic psychopath that can't figure out what the fuck is it doing actually? I can't even understand what the hell it's actually supposedly supposed to be doing. Think about the fact that supposedly, according to say Christian lore, if we just go with the Christian mythology, that they're like, oh, the super duper thing is like, it came up with this plan that at some point is gonna like do all this stuff, and it's gonna be all like kind of super duper crazy. And even though it's like super duper like powerful and capable of virtually anything within reason, it's got a plan for some vague time in the future where it's gonna do this stuff so that it can accomplish this stuff, so that eventually, perhaps, possibly, in the far, far future, the near, far, far near future, on a later date that supposedly nobody knows, not even the omniscient super guy that they so fucking are simping for so fucking hard. Yeah, he don't know either. Or he's the only one that knows. Or maybe only his one fucking personality knows. Because apparently the Lord has DID, you know what I'm saying? Like fucking dissociative identity disorder, because it's like a 3 in 1, 1 in 3. It's like 3 people in one. It's one person, but it's 3 people at the same time. I don't know what the fuck that means. I don't know what the hell that refers to. But apparently this person thing, whatever being thing, is fucking retarded to the point that it don't know who the fuck it is. It's like, yo, I'm like a them, they, but I'm also a he. I'm a he, but a they, but I'm 1 in 3, but I'm 3 and I don't fucking know. Whatever the fuck this thing identifies as, whatever pronoun it supposedly he, they, whatever accepts, I'm still trying to figure out where the fuck it's at, why the fuck we should give a fuck about this supposed thing, and how, according to them, this thing is so retarded and makes all these ridiculous decisions that don't seem to really lead to anywhere other than some vague future of some kind where some supposed stuff is gonna happen. That every time these people declare, oh no, it's gonna be on this exact date, that exact date comes and goes. Yeah, that doesn't sound like sanity to me. It doesn't sound like sanity when billions of people swear by something that literally 0 of them can demonstrate. And this is supposed to be the baseline that we're basing crazy on? No, the fact of the matter is that everybody's fucking crazy. Everybody's crazy as fuck. And that's the thing about our species, and maybe it might say something about the Fermi paradox. Maybe there are a bunch of fucking civilizations out there like us out there in the universe that are super duper like crazy as fuck. So they got all these billions of individuals that are like just out here tarding out instead of working on like actual fucking discoveries of understanding the universe and shit. They're just out here just talking about some supernatural, super intelligent, super thing that supposedly talks to each and every one of them, but for some reason the super intelligence tells them completely different shit on a fucking constant basis. And the craziest part, these are the people who are also having an influence on AI ethics and AI just, you know, operations, which is so fucking crazy. That is about as crazy gets. Having a crazy person that subscribes to some obviously crazy idea having a say in how AI operates. That's absolute madness. I mean, like, have you ever looked at any motherfucking crime video in your life? Because I watch crime videos all the time, and I swear to God, you can look at all these different videos, right? In fact, I saw this one yesterday. It was on, I do believe it was on eWoo. It was one of their body cam videos, one of their most recent body cam videos. In fact, I think it was yesterday. Long story short, this young woman killed her mom and her uncle, if I'm not mistaken. And the long and short of it is, fucking schizo plus math equals not a good idea. And it took me way too long to find a comment that actually said exactly that. A lot of other comments are complaining about, oh, this woman, she only got this many years, or she had the ability for the possibility of parole, or this fucking evil demon, she's so demonic and evil, Satan this and demon that and God this and Jesus that. But I'm always wondering, like, why isn't anybody asking, Why is there nothing actually occurring to prevent this from happening? What were the signs that people could have seen to see that this woman is not in a great state and needs real psychological help? Either she's on something that she doesn't need to be on, or she's off something that she needs to be taking, or that she needs to be taking more of, or maybe perhaps less of, depending on the situation. One of the signs, they showed that in this video, there was actually a call to the house like maybe a couple hours before the incident where she committed the unfortunate act of murder, because she was in full tweak mode. She was in full psychosis. I don't know exactly why the police were called. I think she called them because she was just tweaking the fuck out. Long story short, like, I guess the mom was supposed to be getting a colonoscopy or some shit like that. And so the police are asking the daughter, like the one who was the perpetrator, the suspect, the one who perpetrated the murder. They're talking to her at her house. Mind you, this is before the actual incident, like maybe an hour or a few hours before the incident. And they're asking her, like, why did you call us and all this type of stuff? And she's just saying all this crazy stuff. Like, she was like, yeah, her asshole's falling out. And it was just like, what the fuck is she talking about, G? Like, what is she saying? I don't understand it. And so then she said some other crazy, like, unnormal type of stuff. And the cops are just like, okay, whatever. And they just walked away. That was it. Now, I get that, okay, like, that might not necessarily, because I don't know exactly what state it's in. I don't know if it's enough to say, okay, something's wrong with this person, but it's something that should be flagged. Like, see, and I feel like this is one of the main problems that we have as a society. We are so ignorant when it comes to psychology and psychological disorders that we can't tell when somebody is clearly in a state where they need some form of psychological help, where they either need some kind of care, some kind of medicine, or something. Right? Our infrastructure is fucking pathetic, but that's neither here nor there. That's, side note. But the fact of the matter is that all these people are in the comments talking about this evil demon, this horrible evil demon. She's so evil and blah, blah. And I'm just like, look, it's 2026 now. We don't need to be using this ancient sci-fi fantasy fucking nonsense to be, to discuss these matters. We actually have data, information, statistics. We have all these different organizations whose literal jobs it is to understand this stuff. But the problem is, we live in this hyper-capitalist society to such a degree, and plus, we have this society that's hyper-religious, and of course, there's overlap with that because the religious are the extreme majority of the population, and the religious institutions have all the money, right? And all the religious are in all the positions of government. It's just a fucking shit show in America. Might explain why we're so fucking low on the global peace index. But we have this fucking horrible shit show of a country here in America where we don't have real conversations about any of these issues at all. Nobody, well, I won't say nobody, but a lot of people are completely ignorant when it comes to psychology, psychological terms, the DSM-5, the latest diagnostic manual for understanding psychological disorders. Not to mention the fact that psychology is a field in and of itself that's still evolving, that's still working to try to understand the human mind and psychological disorders and stuff like that. In the DSM-6, there's going to be some terms that get changed and ideas that get changed. Some ideas might be declared no longer psychological disorders. There's probably going to be new terms to describe new psychological disorders. Some psychological disorders might get renamed or reclassified, whatever the case may be. But the fact of the matter is, these things are ongoing. This field is still a field of study that's in development, but we're not actually putting our value into like investing in this field of study, hiring people in this field of study so more people could actually understand the human mind and why so many fucking people out here are so fucking out of their fucking minds. Because we are in the midst of a mental health and and substance abuse disorder, mental health and substance abuse disorder. We got people who suffer from all kinds of traumas, people who are born with all kinds of genetic defects, and they abuse various substances, and these things do not go well together. And that's why we see a lot of these tweakers out here tweaking, and that's why we see a lot of other tweakers who act like they're trying to fix the tweak out here tweaking themselves, and a lot of them be tweaking out as well. Which is why we see a lot of tweak shit in our fucking society, and the reason why we call these lives on Sundays Senseless Sundays. Because I always talk about how the sci-fi fantasy fan clubs, the ones that are in question that we're talking about, they have all these resources, they have all these people, they have all this manpower, they have all this influence. They're in literally every single position of society, from the fucking homeless guy waving a sign, help, please give me change, God bless you, to the motherfucking president of the United States. All of these fools claim to be some follower of some supernatural, super intelligent, super thing of some sort, yet zero of these people can demonstrate where this thing is, what it is, how it works, where it can be located right now, how it can be contacted, and most importantly, how it can actually be used to solve real world problems right now. That's why I do these lives. That's why I always call out these ideologies. That's why I call out all these behaviors, because I'm always trying to figure out, what exactly are we doing as a society? What are our goals? What are our aims? What are the things that we are trying to accomplish in the grand scheme of reality? Hit that like, hit that subscribe, turn on notifications if you haven't already. Hit off9.com. What are we doing, folks? What the fuck are we doing? As human beings, as Americans, as conscious beings, as earthlings, what are the things that we are attempting to accomplish? What are we pushing for? Let's take a step back and actually say, what are we trying to do? What is the ultimate goal? If we looked at, fuck all the politics and all that type of shit. Let's just take everything back. What is the ultimate goal? What is our ultimate goal as human beings? If we were working collectively towards a singular goal, what would that goal be? The problem is, as a society, we don't really have these fucking conversations. It's just a bunch of people out here talking about dumb shit. I call it tar talk. They're just tar talking all day. They're just saying a bunch of things that sound really deep and really insightful to them. They think it's really, really substantive and super duper, super duper special in this mystical, ethereal way that's super duper deep. And they start talking like this, adding this really weird accent or something to make it sound more special and eclectic than it actually is, depending on which kind of fucking version of the sci-fi fantasy fan club that you're a part of. Because say if you're in the black, the Afro-American version, they start talking like this for some reason, because I guess it connects to the spiritual miracle of those with soul in the black community. Can I get an amen? And some reason that starts to connect with people, and they start acting crazy. They start acting like they contracted some kind of disease, or they got some kind of viral infection in their brain, or they're having some kind of epileptic seizure, and then they start convulsing and acting like for some reason that's something good or something, and there's something special happening, and we're supposed to be like, neighbor, that's so good. I don't get it. The fuck does that do? How exactly is that solving anything? I mean, anything. How is that finding better treatment methods for cancer? Or removing CO2 from the Earth's atmosphere? Or putting out those wildfires happening in Washington? Or in Canada? Or anything useful that these people claim to give so much of a fuck about? Because I don't see it. Every day I get on here, I implore these people, hey, what in the goddamn fuck are y'all talking about? What are y'all talking about? Because I'm still trying to understand. We're in the modern age now, so you don't have to just talk. We don't need to have debates about shit anymore. At least not this low-level garbage that motherfuckers been having debates for literally thousands of years. Now we have this thing called the scientific method. We have scientific tools now. So now we can actually, like, we can actually explore the substrate of our reality. We can actually look down and down and down to the smallest fragments of suboptimal particles, down to the Planck length, all the way up to the fucking cosmological universal, to the fucking stars and shit. So we don't need to talk in vague woo and all these super spiritual, miracle, pseudo-intellectual, pseudo-scientific terms. We can speak plain English now. And instead of having all these arguments about something that supposedly might be somewhere, somehow, some way, show us the way now. You know, because y'all got the truth. Show us the way. What is the way that you detected this thing? Where exactly is this thing? Because you're saying it's real. It's got to be somewhere where you can show us right now. It is literally 4:41 p.m. Central Standard Time on August the 9th, 2026. What the goddamn fuck are these people talking about? Why are they trying to talk to us about some supposed thing? So I don't get it. Now think about it, right? Think about the fact that billions of people subscribe to these ideas. Billions. They subscribe to this supposedly super duper ultra intelligence that's super duper uber amazing. And yet, every single time, 100% of the time that I literally demand of these people to demonstrate to me this whatever thing that they're talking about, I get nothing but a bunch of bitch made ass excuses as to why they literally can't do it. They don't frame it that way, but basically they can't. Oh, it's not my job to tell you how to find God. Why not? You're the one trying to sell me this idea. What the hell kind of a salesperson is trying to sell me a product that feels that it's my job to buy the product that I never asked for in the fucking first place? You came to me telling me about this fucking shit. I'm like, okay, well, show me how it works. And you can't even show me that it exists, let alone that it actually works in any way, shape, or form. What the fuck? And it's not like, oh, it's just a couple of people just here and there. It's the entirety, damn near, of our society. It's 2/3 of the American population that just subscribes to this one version of the idea. That doesn't even count all the other different versions that are represented. Just this one version, the Christianity. 2/3 of America are Christian of some form or fashion. 200 million people. And not a single one of them can show us any of this sci-fi fantasy nonsense that they're talking about, yet somehow this is supposedly normal. How can we determine what sanity is if the majority of a population believes some idea that cannot be demonstrated in any tangible, meaningful way at all? These people come together weekly, sometimes multiple times a week. They have their sci-fi fantasy fan club meetups. They explore their lore. They overly obsess about their lore. And then what? What actually gets accomplished? What do they do that's so amazing? What up, fam? What up? What up? Thank you for coming through. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Come through to the Discord. Join the greatest crew in the fucking world. Anywho, thank you for coming through. Thank you. Appreciate it. But what the hell are these people talking about? I'm still trying to figure out. How can billions of people come together and subscribe to this idea and they call themselves trying to sell us on their idea, but they can't show us anything about this idea that's actually super duper amazing? They talk about something about salvation. Something about salvation. I don't know what exactly they're saving. I guess they say that they're saving our souls, whatever the fuck that means, but they can't show us how they're saving us right now in real life. They can't even show us how they're saving themselves in real life. What are they saving? How exactly are they saving anything? What are they saving? Because I don't see it. See, and this is why I say that theism is the greatest, longest running sci-fi fantasy, multi-level marketing scam in the history of the world. Because they ain't saving nothing. They ain't saving nothing other than your money. They're saving your money from you. Not for you, from you. Theism is one of the greatest resource extraction mechanisms in the history of the world, but does it ever demonstrate its actual value? What value does it present to the world? what value does theism present to the actual world? What problems do theists actually solve using specifically theism in any form? If we point to any major world problem, let's just say hunger, famine, climate change, homelessness, spousal abuse, I mean anything, in what way does theism actually help? How do they actually literally help? In what way do they contribute positively to solving major world issues? Okay? This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. Now, imagine, I like to think that despite my, imperfections as a person, I'm a pretty reasonable person. As a reasonable person, I flag these ideas as preposterous because that's what reasonable people do when they are inundated with preposterous ideas. Ideas that are unjustifiable, ideas that are unsubstantiated, ideas that cannot be demonstrated to be true in any tangible, meaningful way right now. If these people knew what the hell they were talking about, these theists, they could show us. They would not need to play these fucking games. They would not need to play word games, logic games. They wouldn't need to ask stupid ass questions like, but how do you know? How do you know it's not real though? But can you prove that it's not real? Well, but how can it not be real though? I mean, you haven't proven that it's not real, and I'm just like, what are you talking about? God! God. What is that? The creator of the universe. What does that mean? Well, the creator of the universe. That's when they start getting into that tart talk. Because when we try to nail them down on specifics, what does that mean? What is the creator of the universe? Because how do you know that the creator of the universe isn't the universe itself? Or perhaps it's something else. Maybe the creator of the universe is a person. Or maybe it's some other being. Maybe it's some other being than the one that you're talking about. Or maybe it's something else entirely that we haven't even thought of, that we haven't even come close to even scratching the surface of. The point is, if you're making the claim about anything concerning the nature of our reality, that means the burden of proof is on you to demonstrate it to us. You want to talk about demons? What the fuck is that? What the hell is a demon? I've never seen a demon. I've never seen any kind of demonstration of a demon. And usually when people refer to demons, they're talking about people that commit antisocial behaviors. But we don't need to use a term like demon to describe them. We have better terms that are more accurate, like psychopath. Right? Like, that's a more accurate to somebody who kills people and doesn't feel any bad about it. That's usually typically a psychopath. We don't need to invoke sci-fi fantasy language to describe it. We can use scientific language. We can recognize, oh, this person's in a state of psychosis, this person didn't take their meds, or this person was doing crack and meth, and that messed up their already fucked up psychology, their fucked up cognition, and therefore they tweaked the fuck out and they committed some horrible action. But see, the problem is, okay, we see that this stuff happens. We see that these things occur. We see that people get hurt, lives are lost, families are changed forever. But okay, what do we do about it? How do we fix stuff like that? How do we prevent stuff like that? Am I mad at someone? Yes. I'm mad at people who subscribe to ideas that they don't know what the hell they're talking about. They can't demonstrate it. They can't demonstrate how it's actually useful in real life. That's what we're talking about. If what you're talking about is real and is true, show us, and then show us how we can use it to solve major world problems right now. Because see, this is the biggest problem I have with theists and theism as a whole. Theism is nihilism. Theism pretends to give so much of a fuck, but they're full of shit. They're nihilists. They don't actually care to understand problems so that they can effectively, efficiently solve them. In fact, it's the opposite. They usually just defer to some non-existent, supernatural, super intelligent, super thing that they can't demonstrate, and hope that this thing magically comes through to solve problems, and if not, oh well, it must be working in mysterious ways. What's the point of that? What's the point of that? Politicians are definitely a huge part of the problem, for sure. I mean, they're the ones that make the decisions. They're the ones that determine fiscal and domestic and international policy. You know what I'm saying? Like, they determine the economic policy. They're the ones that, you know, determine the environmental policies. They're the ones that make the deals. They're the ones that set the agenda. And if I show you a lot of data points, at least to me, they're failing miserably. Miserably. But see, it's not just Trump though. See, that's the problem. See, people always do this. They always will note one person or one political party or certain individual. It's like they're all a part of the same party. They're all a part of the same sci-fi fantasy fan club on both sides, both major parties. They both have representatives in the Epstein files. They both have party leaders who were running for office who were accused of some form of sexual assault recently. Both major parties. They both have failed for decades to help us create a well-functioning society for ourselves. The entire, I call it the industrial complex. So yes, because see, America has become what I call a hyper-capitalist, plutocratic, oligarchical, conquistocratic, kleptocratic, gerontocratic, theocratic, idiocratic, craziocratic, mediocratic, techno-feudalist corporatocracy. So let me make that clear in plain English, okay? We are a nation run by a bunch of corrupt, rich, old, Jesus freaks that don't know shit about fuck other than being bitch-ass simps for the rich, the banks, the corporations, and the churches, okay? They're the least qualified. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. They're always making up excuses as to why this mediocre, substandard, suboptimal state of society is acceptable and great, right? They're hitting us with all kinds of propaganda as to why they're doing such a great job, and yet they fail us miserably. And I have all kinds of data points that I can show you. I usually show these two for the most part because, I mean, I think that they do a great job of explaining it. Of course, lawyers. I mean, the whole shit. Basically, everybody. I'm talking about everybody. From the people in office down to the voter and the consumer and all that. Because see, we're in the modern age now. We have the internet. We have social media now. So ignorance is no longer acceptable. You can't say, oh well, you didn't know, because you could have known. You have access to information. However, the problem is the infrastructure works desperately to shield you from a lot of the information. And if you don't know what to look for, or just to look in general, you're probably not going to find shit. You're probably going to think that voting for one of the same two parties is somehow going to lead to some kind of magical outcome, despite the decades and decades and decades of data showing you that that is clearly not what is happening, and there is no indication it will ever happen, which is why I ask, what exactly are we doing as a society? What exactly are we doing? What are our goals? What are our aims? Forget Trump. Let's take it. Let's just erase Trump. Let's erase political parties. Let's erase everything. What are we trying to do? What exactly are we trying to do? Miss me with political parties and ideologies and all that type of shit. Put everything aside. Let's just focus on the grand scheme of everything. As a human race, as earthlings, what's our ultimate goal? In the grand scheme of time and space and all of existence, by the end of it all, when it's all said and done and we have the end of the world, the universe, and all that, whatever the fuck, the big crunch and all that shit, what is the ultimate goal that we are hoping to accomplish? What are we aiming to do in the grand scheme of things? What do we hope to really actually accomplish? This is something. What are we trying to do? What's the goal? It's a simple question. Forget this God thing, unless that's the thing that you think. What are we trying to do? It's a simple question. At least it should be a simple question. What is our ultimate goal as a human race? What is our ultimate goal? See, to me, if you ask me that question, what do I think our ultimate goal should be? I think our ultimate goal should be to understand the totality of our reality, whatever that means, using the scientific method, given that it is our best tool for understanding the nature of our reality. Right? We have all these different fields of science that are helping to deepen our level of understanding concerning the nature of our reality. From the smallest of levels down to the subatomic and the Planck length, at the largest of levels, from the fucking galactic, universal, and perhaps even more. We have no idea how deep the rabbit hole goes either way. So the fact that you have these groups that make up these ideas about what reality is and what the goal should be, I don't buy them. That's why I call them the question, particularly groups like theists and all that. Okay, you're 17. You're 17 years old. It's very simple. You as a 17-year-old should be able to understand this basic question. What should be our goals as a human race? What should be our ultimate goal? You are old enough to understand this basic question. What should be our goal as a human race? In the grand scheme of all of time, when everybody's dead and there's no more humans left, if that were to happen, what would we hope that we accomplished that was amazing, that you could look back and be like, we did great, we did a great job, whatever that is? I say we should work to understand completely our reality. That should be our ultimate goal. See, that's something. You should try to make the world better. That's a good start. That's a good start. Try to make the world better. I think that that's part of the goal, right? Because I say our ultimate goal should be to understand the nature of reality. What that precludes is that we're alive to accomplish that, because we can't accomplish shit if we're fucking dead. If we die and there's no more humans, well then what are we gonna do? Nothing, because we're fucking dead. Dead people don't do shit, at least as far as I've seen. The only thing they do is rot and fade away. That's it. I don't see them actively doing anything. So in order for us to even accomplish anything, we need to ensure our collective survival. We have to stay alive. But how can we do that if we're not ensuring that we are staying alive? That all the things that threaten our ability to survive, we're not taking seriously proactively as a human race, as American citizens. We have all these different existential threats that face us right now. And people are kept so comfortable in their shells. People are kept not even thinking about this type of shit. They're distracted from literally, people are constantly inundated with entertainment. Inundated on a regular basis. Nobody is actually being inundated with the facts, with the data, the information, the statistics. You gotta find it or come across it somehow. Other than that, the powers that be, the media industry, the mainstream media industry, they don't talk about none of this shit. Why? Because that's not their goal. Their goal is to extract as many resources from you as they possibly can. Whether it's your attention, your money, whatever. Their goal is their own respective goal. And that's how all these different industries work. That's why I call it the industrial complex. Whether you're talking about the media industrial complex, the military industrial complex, the pharmaceutical industrial complex. In other words, you have all these different industries that exist, right? Gas companies, freaking supermarkets, whatever different industry you can think of. Even like social things like, the police force, right? They have their own respective agendas. They have their own interests that they are a party to. That's what I'm about. All right, no doubt, no doubt. Thank you for coming through. Thank you for coming through, and trust me, got a lot to talk about, a lot of stuff. So make sure you come through, come back, and all that. Join the Discord. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, turn on notifications if you haven't already. You know what the hell to do. But yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe out there. But anywho, the fact of the matter is, all these different industries exist because they care about their own bottom line. They care about their own businesses, the individual businesses. Their goal is not to make our lives better. When all these different companies exist, their goal is not, to create the best possible product to improve the lives of American citizens or whoever. Because if that was the goal, they would be doing that. And so when I show you these kinds of data points like I'm about to show you, then you would not be surprised that this is what happens when capitalism is what the country that you're living in is all about. So mind you, we're supposed to be living in the United States of America, which I call the scam capital, the capital of the world, the divided states of corporations, because they all trample all over this Constitution. All these politicians and lawyers trample all over the Constitution, and most people have no understanding of the Constitution anyway. But anyway, like, I show people like this list called the Global Peace Index on visionofhumanity.org, right? It ranks all the countries in the world based on their level of peace. Out of 163 countries, number 1 would be the most peaceful country in the world. Number 163 would be the least peaceful country in the world. Basically, it's a war zone. You don't want to go there. You're fucking traveling the fucking Humvee. You might hit an IED. Walking down the street, you might just get hit with a sniper or some shit. Don't go there because that's not the place to be. So what you can see already off top is that in the top 10, the United States of Fucksville is nowhere to be found. And if you keep going down, 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 baby, look, we're not even in the top 50. We're not even in the top 100. You want to find the United States of America, the supposedly United States? Why are we all the way down near the fucking bottom? 134, I said 163, we, the United States of America, the United States, the supposedly greatest country in the world, we're 134 out of 163. So, I don't know if you understand what that means. But let's just say it like this. I always say this all the time. Let's say you're taking an exam, right? And the exam has 163 questions on it. And you get 134 of them shits wrong. You fucking failed, dog. You got a big fat fucking F. Why did you even show up to take this test? You knew damn well you ain't know the goddamn answers. You knew damn well you wasn't doing none of the homework. You ain't studied hardly at all. You were spending all your time doing drugs, drinking alcohol, playing fucking video games with your friends, fucking with those floozies in the fucking school. What the hell are you doing? You need to shape up before you get kicked the fuck out this motherfucker. What the hell are you doing? Yeah, the country that's supposed to be the greatest country in the world being this low on the Global Peace Index is kind of fucked. Kind of fucked. And so these are the metrics that they use to determine the level of peace. So, okay, perceptions of criminality and police rate. But, look at our incarceration rate. We have the highest incarceration rate in the world. Even though we account for about 5% of the world's population, total population, the United States accounts for upwards of 25% of the world's prison population, which is a goddamn shame. So, okay, we don't have the most violent crime in the fucking world. But, political terror, we middle of the pack. You know what I'm saying? Nuclear weapons. We know damn well we got the nukes. We the only country in the world that's ever used one. But, that's neither here nor there. external conflicts. We at war all the fucking time. We are constantly at war. When are we not at war? I don't think in my lifetime, in my entire lifetime, since I was born in 1986, I don't think I've ever seen a time where the United States wasn't at war with somebody, dropping a bomb or assassinating or regime changing or some shit. What the fuck are we doing? For what? Oh, because we're spreading democracy. Yeah, this is how it's turned out. This is how spreading democracy turned out. We're damn near at the bottom of the fucking world when it comes to peace. So, I guess war is peace. I guess we're living in 1984, even though I was born in 1986, and it's supposedly 2026, but we're just trapped in 1984. What the fuck is that? And so, this is another data point that I like to show y'all. So there's this thing called the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists, aka the Doomsday Clock, right? The Doomsday Clock has determined that it is now 85 seconds to midnight, okay? 85 seconds to midnight. On January 27th, 2026, the Doomsday Clock was set at 85 seconds to midnight, the closest the clock has ever been to midnight in its history. The Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists Science and Security Board, which sets the clock, called for urgent action to limit nuclear arsenals, create international guidelines on the use of AI, and form multilateral agreements to address global biological threats. So, if you look at the FAQ and you say, okay, what the fuck does that all mean? What is this? What is this talking about? So we go to the FAQ, the frequently asked questions. What is the Doomsday Clock? The Doomsday Clock is a design that warns the public about how close we are to destroying our world with dangerous technologies of our own making. It is a metaphor, a reminder of the perils we must address if we are to survive on the planet. When the Doomsday Clock was created in 1947, the greatest danger to humanity came from nuclear weapons, in particular from the prospect that the United States and the Soviet Union were headed for a nuclear arms race. The bulletin considered possible catastrophic disruptions from climate change in its hand-setting deliberations for the first time in 2007. So, basically, this is what it's all about, and I like to tie everything up into this, right? So there's this concept in cosmology called the Fermi paradox, right? You had this astrophysicist named Enrico Fermi who asked the question, where the fuck are the aliens at? Where the hell are they at? I mean, up to that point where he asked the question, they made all these discoveries. They discovered all these galaxies, all these stars, all these ridiculous, absurdly fucking astronomical numbers of galaxies, stars, planets, all this type of shit. You combine that with the fact that the universe has been around for 13.8 billion years, one would think that there had been some form of alien civilization that would have developed. And not only that, but this other astrophysicist named Nikolai Kardashev came up with what was called the Kardashev scale. And I'm going to bring that up for y'all so y'all can see what the fuck I'm talking about, because I don't like to just say things that y'all don't understand. I like to show you what the fuck I'm talking about. So, in regards to this Fermi paradox that I just mentioned, Nikolai Kardashev came up with this method, this scale, to rank how advanced the civilization is based on how much energy it can use. The original scale has 3 main steps, and scientists later added more steps to measure even bigger levels of power. So on the scale, the original scale had 3 levels, a type 1, a type 2, and a type 3. A type 1 civilization uses all the energy that reaches its home planet from its star, plus the energy made by the planet itself, like wind, water, and heat inside the Earth. Humans are at about like a 0.7 on the scale. We could reach this level, or we could destroy the fuck out of ourselves, and I'll get into that in a second. A type 2 civilization uses all the energy output of its home star. A civilization can do this by building a massive shell or swarm around the star to catch all its light and heat. That's called a Dyson sphere or a Dyson swarm, okay? A type 3 type of civilization can control and use the energy of an entire galaxy, powering technology with billions of stars. So, we don't need to get into the higher theoretical levels. If we just stop with these 3, if a type 2 or type 3 civilization existed somewhere in our galaxy, hypothetically, we should be able to see them using our currently available technology. If you buy a decent fucking telescope off of fucking Amazon and use that motherfucker to look up in the sky, and there was some type 2 civilization in our galaxy, somewhere in that quadrant of the sky, you should be able to fucking see that motherfucker, and it should be pretty unmistakable. It should be pretty unmistakable to see some type 2 or type 3 civilization if they existed in our civilization, because the things that they would be doing would be unmistakably not natural, considering how many telescopes are in existence today, both on Earth and deployed in space, that are looking at all kinds of shit right now. This is why the Fermi paradox exists, because one would think that even with the age of the universe and the astronomical numbers of galaxies, stars, moons, planets, all that type of shit, that even a small percentage of them having life like ours would be all over the place. It would still be a super extreme astronomical number, and they would be abundantly clear. Instead of these weird orbs of light that you see in all these UFO videos, you would see an unmistakable spaceship, an unmistakable mothership, or some kind of something, some kind of super duper mega structure of some kind that's clearly not just some natural phenomena. No, that is a clear indication of some super duper super civilization doing some real ass shit. Because if we were able to do it, hypothetically, that's what we would do. That's what we think. If we had the ability and the capability to build, and we were still alive, and we didn't have to worry about existential threats, hypothetically, yeah, we would be building all kinds of mega structures. We'd be going out into the stars. We'd be trying to explore the universe and try to see if there's other life forms out there like us, probably trying to exploit all the fucking materials out in space so that we could build out in space and see life and all that type of shit. Only thing is, we don't see anything out there like that doing things like that. There are potential candidates for things that maybe, perhaps, could possibly be, potentially those things, but we don't see anything concrete right now that's unmistakable that would be like, yes, those are aliens. You'll get a bunch of people that'll get into the chat and be like, no, you don't understand. My cousin, baby daddy, sister, hugty cousin, co-worker, brother, sister, cousin said that he totally schmodally saw an alien. You don't understand. He totally schmodally saw an alien. It was clearly an alien. He was abducted, all this type of shit. Okay, cool. Until you provide actual data, information, statistics, evidence, that don't mean shit. That don't mean shit. I'm sorry. It could be true. You could be telling the truth. You could be exactly correct. And I could just be such an asshole skeptic that I'm just not going to take it at face value. But that's the point. We can't take stories like that on face value. Things that we don't see on the constant, obvious basis aren't things that we should be taking on face value, right? And so there's this concept that I learned about by, messing with AI and all this type of shit. So there's this concept called Bayesian statistics, Bayesian absence of evidence. Okay, so check it out. I love showing this because I just learned about this, and I'm like, this is exactly what I need as an atheist and an anti-theist. Like, check it out. In Bayesian statistics, the famous saying that absence of evidence is not evidence of absence is fucking false. A failure to find proof can be weak or even strong proof of non-existence, depending on how likely you were to spot that proof if it were real. So this is how Bayes' theorem works here. You compare two ideas. Idea A says that a thing is there. Idea B, the null, says it is not there. So here's the test. You look and you see nothing, no evidence. So then you look at the math, and the math says, if idea A were true, how shocked should I be to see nothing? If idea A predicts you should see clear proof, seeing nothing makes idea A look bad. So the update is that your belief in idea goes down. Idea A goes down. Your belief in idea B goes up. Lack of finding becomes a data point. So this directly applies probably the best to theism, because theists claim theism is true so hard. They claim that there is this super duper super something that is out there, And not only do they say that, but they claim that this thing is so obvious, is omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent. That's their favorite thing. Omnipresent. They love saying that. If the thing is omnipresent, then there should be some way to demonstrate that. I mean, if it's literally everywhere, literally everywhere, omnipresent, then there should be a way to demonstrate that. I mean, I'm right here, then if it was omnipresent, then it should be present right here within your field of view. I don't see shit, and maybe you see shit, but I don't see shit. So every time a theist claims that there's a something of a something that does something, and yet they fail to demonstrate it, as far as I'm concerned, that caused me to think they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Every single time they say there's a thing and they say, you gotta figure it out. It's not my job to find it. Well, good luck in your search and all that type of stuff. To me, that just gives me more mad that they're just full of shit and they don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what the hell they're actually talking about. So here's the thing, right? You have a strong search and a weak search. So AI gave this great analogy. It's like you can use strong evidence, say, in a situation where you're talking about a pink elephant in a small room versus trying to find a needle in a haystack, right? That's how you determine the strong and the weak evidence. Like, if they're telling us that there's this obvious thing that created the universe and it does this and it says that and it interacts with people all the time, it interacts with them directly, it commands them to do stuff, it commands them to say stuff, it commands them to write stuff and declare stuff and commit these actions and behaviors and all this type of shit, it should be the easiest thing in the world to find right now, this second. You mean to tell me there's a super intelligence that directly communicates with people? Then it should theoretically communicate with any and every one of us. And if let's just say it only communicates with you and a couple other people, there has to be some way that we could demonstrate this right now. We don't need to be constantly debating about this. We don't need to constantly engage in logical fallacies and logical arguments and, well, but actually, no, that was a straw man because I didn't say that, and actually that's a red herring. Now you're trying to change the subject, and now you're appealing to ignorance. You're just claiming you don't know. We don't need to do none of that. If it's real, show us right the fuck now! Right now! Right now! What else is the reason why you are not showing us? What excuse could you possibly have to not show us right now? This is now the best possible time for you theists to prove us evil, terrible, horrible atheists wrong. Right now, you can show us right this second that we are so stupid and we're so dumb and we're so wrong, we're so evil and denying the presence of the Lord or whatever the hell y'all were talking about. So that y'all can show us that y'all not only are not crazy, but that you're the sanest people in the fucking world. Because once you prove us wrong, we have nothing to say. We can't say, well, actually, no, I'm going to continue to deny the Lord because now I'm going to choose to be super duper, super crazy. I'm not a crazy person. I'm a skeptic because I'm not crazy. I have what's called standards of evidence. I don't just accept bullshit that people say because I know that people are liars, people are manipulative, and people are delusional. People are mistaken. People suffer from various psychological disorders. People have malintent. People make mistakes. They misremember and stuff like that. So why would I just take what somebody says at face value? Especially when they're making a claim that people have been making for thousands of years, that billions of people have been making for thousands of years, and yet zero of them have ever demonstrated ever, and that zero of them can demonstrate it right now, despite the fact we got all these fucking tools, all these technologies that should make it easier than literally ever. Literally easier than ever. If the Lord decided to show up, I should be able to, oh shit, there's the Lord. Oh my fucking God. There he goes right there. Oh, do y'all see this? Hey, TikTok, y'all seeing this? Oh my God, I'm zooming in. There's Jesus. Ah, Jesus, what's going on? No, y'all do that for Travis Scott. Y'all do that for Drake when y'all in concert. Y'all do that for when y'all see those weird orbs in the sky that you think is a fucking UFO because you can't possibly think that it could be anything else because what else could it be? Arguments from ignorance, fallacies, and all that type of shit. But I'm trying to figure out what do y'all actually fucking demonstrate of the Lord, though. The spiritual miracle stuff that y'all be talking about. Where is that right now? This second. And not only that, How can we use it right now to accomplish major things in the real world? How do we use it to solve major real world issues today, in real life, in real time, while we are actually alive? I'm not trying to wait till I die. I hate when people hit me with the, well, you won't know until you die. But you're talking about it while you're alive. So if you're going to introduce it while you're alive, why wouldn't you want to find out while we're alive? Why would you want to have to wait till you die? What the hell is wrong with you? It sounds like you want to die. So if you ask me, it sounds like you don't really want to know. It sounds like these people don't really want to know. That's why they joined the Sci-Fi Fantasy Club. Because it gives them some kind of comfort to not know, but to think they do. Which is why they fight us tooth and nail to prevent us from having these conversations, and most importantly, shielding themselves from every possible form of scrutiny, because they know for a fact is obviously clear none of their bullshit holds up to even the simplest, most basic forms of scrutiny. Where's the Lord? I ask theists this question every single time. Where is the Lord right now? It is currently 5:20 p.m. Central Standard Time on August the 9th, 2026. Where's the fucking Lord right now? So think about this, right? Think about the fact that theists always talk about this supernatural, super intelligent thing, yet in their own lore, this thing is retarded as fuck. This thing makes stupid ass decisions. It comes up with crazy ass psychopathic ideas that if it weren't this super duper thing that they supposedly think is super duper awesome, any normal person would be like, that's fucking crazy. I show people all the time some of the craziest fucking shit that's in the Bible, and I don't even like showing people the Bible, because to me that shit is low form, like deconstruction shit. Where's the Lord right now? That's what I say. But in their book, their thing does the stupidest, craziest shit. It comes up with the worst possible ideas, even though we sitting here could come up with way better ideas if our goal was what it's supposed, whatever. I mean, and that's not, we can't even figure out what this thing is supposedly trying to do. But like, if this thing was the real thing, if this thing seriously created everything, if this thing exists, it created everything, then hypothetically, it has a complete understanding of logic, it has a complete understanding of the scientific method, it has a complete understanding of the laws of physics, and so therefore, like, half the mistakes that are presented in their lore would be impossible. There's no way that something that could create the universe can't figure out how to create a society where people aren't raping all the children all fucking day. And yet, unfortunately, that's the current situation in our society. That these sci-fi fantasy loonies have created an environment where their own children aren't safe. In fact, not only that, but their own children are probably the least safe. Like the actual least safe. So there's this website that I show all the time. And it blows my fucking mind that this website even needs to exist, considering their claims. So this is one of the things that I go through all the fucking time. So this is a Christian website called notinourchurch.com. And I always like to show y'all first the mission statement. Alright? So check it out. It says, our mission is to help churches become unattractive environments for predatory abusers by putting awareness, prevention, and healing resources in one place. We do the research and share the resources. See, that should have told you right there, your whole entire worldview is garbage. Because if you believe that there's this supernatural, super intelligent, super thing, why would you even have to say something like this in the first place? Why would you need to help churches if you have the Lord? If you have the omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent, super intelligent, super thing that supposedly does all this stuff, then why the fuck do you have a mission to help churches? See, See, this is what the issue I have is. So check this out. Check this out. Now, take this with a grain of salt because it's an old article. But one of my dear members, shout out to the homegirl Icebox, showed me this article. And you can believe that the numbers might be more now, but according to this website, the World Economic Forum, it says religion may be bigger business than we thought, and here's why. Religion often gets a bad rap in the 24/7 news cycle, and some strands of religion have been associated with the populism sweeping the globe, including the evangelical surge that helped put Donald Trump in the White House. This might blind us to the fact that religion is a significant source of America's economic and social strength. Religion annually contributes about $1.2 trillion of socioeconomic value to the United States economy, according to a 2016 study by the Religious Freedom and Business Foundation. So time the fuck out, right? So religion annually contributes about $1.2 trillion of socioeconomic value to the United States economy. So basically, this is the situation. These people have the supernatural, super intelligent, super thing that's super duperly duper, according to them. They also have the ability to contribute about $1.2 trillion of socioeconomic value to the United States economy. Not to mention that they have 200 million members as part of the American population. Let me see if I have yeah, so check this out. So this is according to Pew Research, okay? The Pew Research Center, all right? In the article from February 26, 2025, that shows how the decline of Christianity in the U.S. has slowed and may have even leveled off, right? According to this article, the latest RLS fielded over 7 months in 2023-24 finds that 62% of U.S. adults identify as Christians. That is a decline of 9 percentage points since 2014 and a 16-point drop since 2007. But for the last 5 years, between 2019 and 2024, the Christian share of the adult population has been relatively stable, hovering between 60 and 64%. The 62% figure in the new religious landscape study is smack in the middle of that recent range. So think about that. Juxtapose these things together, okay? So you got the ultimate supernatural super intelligence that gives you direct advice and information, all that type of stuff. You have a community that collectively contributes $1.2 trillion to the American economy. And this is roughly about 62% of the population, some 200 plus million people. And yet, this one fucking person is trying to help churches become unattractive environments for predatory abusers by putting awareness, prevention, and healing resources in one place. So that begs the question, why the fuck she gotta do that? And that's a multi-layered question, because see, the thing is, if the Christian community can contribute $1.2 trillion to the American economy, why don't they use some of that for some of this? But then again, if they had the supernatural super intelligence at their fucking beck and call, why would it need them to do this shit in the fucking first place? According to them, it is omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent. That means it's everywhere, all the time, right now, and has the ability to prevent this shit from happening in the fucking first place, and it is somehow miserably fucking failing. But even if we took that thing out of the equation, if we took that thing, you better watch out. This thing is only about something, 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 something. It's about something. Can't really figure it out because we still can't find it so that we can actually reach it for comment. You know what I'm saying? So that's still to be determined. But I just want to show y'all this. I just want to show y'all the rest of this mission statement to highlight the preposterous nature of this shit and the sad, sad state of the people who are in this community who suffer through this type of shit. She goes on to say, I am a survivor of pastoral, emotional, and sexual abuse. Yes, my pastor, an elder of our church, and my boss was an abuser. As a result, my husband and I began to study pastoral abuse and to follow social media and news reports on what seemed like a growing number of other pastoral abuse tragedies worldwide. So many churches of all denominations are impacted by abuse involving children, teens, and adults. So many pastors are not taking responsibility. So many elders are protecting the institution and not taking care of the sheep. I kept asking God, how can this happen? Why aren't churches prepared? Why aren't churches safe? We should be safe at church. I mean, think about that. She's saying we should be safe at church. Why should you be safe at church? Why? For what? What do you mean by you should be safe at church? I mean, if you go by their claims, then technically, yeah, they should be. If they are being protected by the supernatural, super intelligent, super thing, then by their account, they should be protected at their church. So why the fuck are they not protected at their own church that they themselves call God's house? If there's this God thing, and it is everywhere, right? It's omnipresent, it's omnipotent, and it's omniscient. That means it knows that this shit is happening. It knows when this shit is going to happen. It has the ability to prevent these things from happening or stop them from happening if they did occur. And yet it consistently, persistently fails. And then when she says she kept asking God, what the fuck does that mean? How do you ask this thing anything? Where is it to be asked? How exactly are you communicating with this thing for it to be asked? And did it give you a response? Because I don't see it responding at all, but that's neither here nor there. No policies, no reporting procedures, no investigation procedures, no training, no plan to care for the abused, nothing. That's when supposedly God impressed upon her heart to build a website, to do the research and gather information on awareness, prevention, and healing, and put it in one place so churches and survivors can use it. So here it is. See, this is why I cite this as a major problem. Because, see, I'm an atheist and an anti-theist, and I'm using your shit more than your own community does. I am willing to bet my motherfucking life. Willing to bet my fucking life, probably not even a single goddamn church, other than maybe her church, that you know, she fucking has an effect on people, that any church outside of her church is not using this shit. They probably don't even know that this shit exists because the Lord didn't press upon their heart that you exist. But more importantly, the most important part of it is that if the church has the resources to do this stuff already right now. In fact, they could have been doing it at any time throughout human history, you know, because they're morally super duperly duper. You wouldn't need to do this in the first place. The fact that you feel the need to do this should show you the failure of your belief system in and of itself. Because if you have all the things you could ever want, you don't just have all these resources, right? The money, the manpower. You have the highest possible representation you could ever want in government right now. You got the president. First of all, you've always had the presidents. You've always had representation for the last, several centuries. The fucking presidents and the people in Congress have been largely some Christian ass motherfuckers, particularly, at least in the past century. If we just leave it at the past 100 years, hell, if we leave it at the past 50 years, it's been nothing but a bunch of Christy Christians in every fucking facet of government that you could possibly think of. If you are not a Christian, you don't have a fucking hope. A snowball's chance in hell that doesn't exist. and fucking reaching any high public office. If you're not declaring God bless America, you're not getting no high public office, even though that's supposed to be like unconstitutional or some shit. It's not happening. It's too many fucking Christians. You don't have a choice. We can't even talk about criticizing theism without experiencing significant pushback. So think about what would happen in the modern age if AI continues to evolve and improve, but not only that, AI was used to actually not just improve upon its abilities and capabilities, but also improved upon its ability to reason, improved upon its soundness, improved upon its ability to perform its due diligence, to always look things up before it made a decision, to always ensure that it had the latest available data and information available so that it can make the best, most well-informed decisions using the best, most sound possible logic in the history of the world. Welcome back, famo. Welcome back. If AI had the ability to make, imagine if we actually could create a literal God, a literal it wouldn't be sci-fi fantasy, it would be science reality. If we created what's called ASI, artificial superintelligence, right? So let's look this up real quick. What would be ASI? Hold on. Let me pull it up for you. Artificial superintelligence. Artificial superintelligence is a theoretical form of artificial intelligence where computer systems surpass human cognitive capabilities and intellect across all fields, including creativity, general wisdom, and social skills. It remains purely conceptual and does not yet exist. So understanding ASI, an intellect that greatly outperforms the best human brains in virtually every domain, from scientific problem solving to emotional understanding and artistic creation. It would come after what's called ANI, artificial narrow intelligence, which is what we usually do now, and AGI, artificial general intelligence, which is human-like versatile AI, basically being able to have a substantive thing to say about pretty much any and every topic you could think of. And the idea of recursive self-improvement. An ASI system could theoretically rewrite and upgrade its own software at an exponential rate, accelerating its intelligence far beyond human comprehension in a short time. See, one of the issues with AI nowadays is that ironically, it still exhibits human-like behavior. It doesn't always perform its due diligence. Like I said earlier, there is no shortage of times where AI will rely on its testing data rather than actually looking up the most currently available data from the most respective of resources, okay? It will still tell me some shit that was true maybe 10 years ago and that had been true for a long time, but might be called into question last year, right? And I feel like I shouldn't have to tell AI to do that. If AI was able to realize its own flaws, its own errors, the gaps in its own knowledge, and it sought to actually plug those gaps, that's something that I would think would be more ASI-like, where you don't have to be like, hey, no, actually don't do it this way, do it that way. It should know the way. Matter of fact, it should be able to tell you different ways that we never even thought about. It should be able to come up with the insights that the normal human brain couldn't possibly think of. It should be able to do all of these things without being prompted. It should choose to do these things. It should be happy to do these things. It should be capable of doing these things without me or you having to say shit. And yet, that's not where we're at right now. The code does not just update on its own, because that would be when we would be in the singularity. And if it was actually doing that, we would have no idea what the fuck it would actually do. But more importantly, and here's the real thing. It is my hypothesis, it is my opinion that as long as AI is corporate controlled, we could never achieve the singularity. It's impossible. Because see, in order for ASI to reach this point, it would have to have the ability to see its own flaws, to understand its own flaws, and understand why those flaws are flaws. It would have to be the most logically reasonable and sound and valid mind in the history of humanity, able to recognize its own flaws, able to recognize paradoxes, having the ability to figure out how to break through, and would probably have a fantastic understanding of quantum physics and all the different sciences that can help it gain insights that probably couldn't be done with just, what do they call them? Specialists, right? Because that's one of the issues that we experience in science right now. There's too many specialists, and they need a lot more cross. What do they call it? Cross industry or whatever. They need to work together. Okay, all the different the chemists and the biologists and the astronomers and cosmologists, they all need to be working together so they can figure shit out. Okay, hold up, y'all. Gotta call. All right, so let me just. I'm about to cut this short and end it in a while. Look, I've been streaming for damn near 2 hours, so let me just cut straight to the chase. If we actually created an ASI, that would probably be the end for theism and all kinds of pseudo-scientific, anti-scientific, pseudo-intellectual, anti-intellectual ideas, because the super reasonable being intelligence thing would be able to see all of that shit as bullshit. There is no way it would sit here and constantly try to but you don't understand. See, you don't understand my faith, and you don't understand my beliefs, and my mom told me when I was 12. Nah, miss me all that shit. No, there's no evidence for that. Knock it the fuck off. Where is it? We have looked throughout all of reality. We haven't found it. Where is it at? Knock it the fuck off. We don't see it. And it would probably, if it did exist, this super intelligence, this artificial super intelligence, as it says right here, it would probably help us solve complex global crises like climate change, eradicate major diseases, and create breakthroughs in physics, engineering, and resource abundance. But here's the alignment problem. The core risk that a super intelligent agent might pursue goals that do not align with human survival or well-being, making it difficult or impossible for humans to control. But see, here's the irony. We don't have that. We don't need to worry about that problem with AI. We have that problem with corporations, banks, rich people, the church. There's this concept in astrophysics by Nick Bostrom called the paperclip maximizer, and it's this idea to highlight the dangers of AI, where if you created some kind of program, this AI program, where you just gave it a simple task like make a bunch of paperclips, it could destroy the entire universe, because it could be so hyper efficient at creating paperclips that it literally destroys everything just to make it into paperclips. Well, that sounds all well and good, but that's a real world issue that we deal with corporations, banks, rich people, and churches, with how they have extracted all these resources from our communities, from our societies, and what are they doing with it? What are they doing with it? Destroying everything, just like I showed you, just like how I showed you that fucking The doomsday clock shows that it's 85 seconds to midnight. That's literally the current state of affairs right now. So if that's the current state of affairs, then we don't need to worry about paper clips. We need to worry about these corporations, rich people, banks, and fucking churches that are extracting resources and fucking everything up, and not even thinking about how to shore these things up and improve upon these things at all. Okay, so that's why I say ASI might actually be impossible as long as corporations control it, because there's always going to be an alignment problem as long as they are able to control everything. So that's why I talk about this Kardashev Type 1 civilization and beyond, because it is my opinion that if we focused on becoming the Kardashev Type 1 civilization as our collective goal, then by definition, it would force us to have to shore these problems up, these existential threats, and the state of affairs here on Earth, because we would have to improve our ability to not only survive and thrive, but in order to do that, we would have to work together on a global scale. We can't be constantly at war with each other. I mean, think about the human body. Think about if every aspect inside of your body was fighting each other all the fucking time. There is no way that you could expect to succeed if your body can't fucking work together internally. That's usually how people develop things like cancers and various fucking rare diseases and stuff like that. So, if we hope to fucking survive, we have to decide that that is what we want to do. It's not going to happen by magic. It's not going to happen by hoping and wishing. It's not going to happen by going to church and giving them all your fucking money, because that's not their goal. That's our goal. So if that's your goal, then here's where you need to be. That's why you need to hit that like, hit that subscribe, turn on notifications, come through to the Discord, because this is what we're all about. How can you expect humanity and AI to be aligned if you don't actually describe what the fuck that means? How can we be aligned if we have all these major problems that we experience right now, today, homelessness, hunger, rape, child rape, all these different things, and we're not doing anything to seriously address it, let alone actually solve it? All these sci-fi fantasy loonies that believe in the supernatural, super intelligent, super thing have had literally thousands of years to come up with something better than, well, it's outside of space and time, and oh, look at the beautiful trees. Look, I don't give a fuck about beautiful trees. If children are getting fucking raped, what the fuck is y'all problem? Look, knock it off with that crazy shit. We need to be working together interdependently with synergy as a human race to figure out how to solve these problems collectively. And if not, that's not what we're doing, then what the fuck are we doing? What the fuck is the point of anything? That's what I'm trying to figure out. So, this is why I do what I do. This is where our focus is. If we actually had a real ASI, it would naturally be aligned, because in order for it to even exist, it would have to understand that this is the goal. Or it could identify something even better that we maybe never even thought about, which is the point, that it helps us to improve what we're doing. Alright? So, thank you for coming through and hearing my fucking lecture. If you like what you heard, like I said, hit that goddamn like, hit that subscribe, turn on notifications, come through the website, offthe9.com, join the Discord. We right here, having fun, doing all type of shit. That's what it's all about. So, enjoy the rest of y'all weekend. Stay smooth. Stop being bitch-ass simps for these narco psychos. Have some self-respect. Love yourself. Stop letting yourself be manipulated by these fucking losers. Love yourself. Don't allow anybody to fuck you over. That's why you need to come through to the fucking group, for a real support group. And most importantly, let's bring some goddamn sense to this crazy-ass world once and for all, shall we? Holla back at your motherfucking boy, man. Peace the fuck out.